So our darkroom is located right next to the popcorn machine, and we're going to want to get this light on, the in-use light. To turn that on, we come in, hit the switch here, and we can see that light's on. On the back side of the door, we've got an apron, and you really should be wearing the apron because this will protect your clothing, your Carney uniform, from any chemical spills. So it is a good idea to put this on before you get going. Okay, we also have safety glasses, and if you don't wear glasses, we want to be splash proof. So your personal protective equipment should be the apron, the gloves, and the glasses. Okay, so we've got the 2 rolls of film in the can here. I've got the light seal in so that there's no light that's going to get into the can. So I'm just going to move that over here so you can see it and bring this up maybe a little bit closer. This next step is actually fairly easy. It's the chemistry. To make this work, all we have to do is make sure we pour the chemicals in and time our agitation just right. If you look up on the sink just above, you'll see the chart, and you're going to need to learn how to read that chart because that's going to tell you how long, depending on the film, you have to agitate for, and how long the chemistry has to sit in there, the tank for as well too. And that's fairly critical. If you get those numbers wrong, your film is probably not going to develop as well as it could. I'm going to set up a timer here, and I want to go, it's about 4 minutes based on the temperature. And the temperature in this room right now is about 75, which puts us right at the right level. That's right in the normal range. And so that means that we follow the normal procedures. For this film, it's 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes with the chemistry. This is DF96. And for that 4 minutes, what we want to do is make sure that we agitate for 30 seconds initially, and then we're going to agitate for 5 seconds out of every minute. We also allow an extra 15 seconds for every roll that's been developed. There's been probably 5 or 6 rolls on this, so I could go as high as, I'm just going to go to 5 minutes. The other thing I'm going to do in that 5-minute time period is make sure that I add on 15 seconds for the pour out of the chemistry. All right, so we're going to go 5:15. I'm going to set my timer up. And I'm assuming that it takes about 15 seconds to add the chemicals and about 15 seconds to get rid of them. So here we go. I'm going to start the timer just as I begin to pour. And we're going to go, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, we're going to pour right up until, well, that's all we have. Fortunately, it's enough. And we want to agitate this, so I'm going to put the agitator stick in there, and from 4 minutes, I'm going to agitate for 30 seconds, and all I'm doing is turning this. I'm going 2 turns to the, or turn and a half to the right and a little bit to the left. I've got the negatives so they're lined up this way, so I do want to turn them more to the right than to the left. So I'm going to go right down to 4:30. I think we started at 5 minutes. Again, that we want 30 seconds of continuous agitation, and that's it. We're done. You don't want to over agitate. Set this here, and I'm going to put the lid on top because the next agitation, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do motion. I'm going to press on this fairly hard. I don't want the chemistry to leak. It's a good idea to wear gloves while you're doing this. There are gloves in the drawer, and I'm going to get a glove on right now to show you that. So I'm watching the timer, remembering that we want to get down to 5 seconds before 3:30, which is 3:35. There we go. You don't want it to sit longer than a minute. And I'm just going 5 seconds, and then we give it a bit of a bang. I'm going to do that on the counter here. And then we wait. Hopefully you can see that. Normally what I would do actually is probably set that up over on the side here now. Just going to bring that over here. I've got my timer. And you can see the timer. We're going to go to, we're at 3 minutes. We'll go to 2:35, and then we'll do 5 seconds of agitation once again. Sometimes it's nice to have somebody else time for you so you don't have to think. All you have to do is agitate. If you've got somebody who can help you out, that's great. We definitely don't want to miss these times because that will cause some issues. And now we start. And so you can see I do have a little bit of leakage here, so all I'm doing is moving it over top of the stainless steel. And these chemicals will stain. I do want to wipe that up. Obviously I don't want to get it on my phone either. So I'm just going to press that lid down a little bit more. I'm going to be washing the whole thing. I do have gloves, so it's really not a big deal. These chemicals aren't terribly dangerous, but nonetheless, we still don't want to get them on our hands. Okay, so we're looking at 1:35 before we start the next agitation. And give it a bang. Okay. 5 seconds goes pretty fast. Last agitation is going to be at 35 seconds. And then we want to start pouring the chemicals with that last 15 seconds. Okay, 35, there we go. Okay, maybe I banged it a little too hard that time. So what I'm going to do is bring it over here so you can see. I'm going to set up the funnel back in here, and at that 15-second mark, which is right now, I want to start pouring back into here. I'm going to make sure that seal is on there nicely. I'm going to hold on to the funnel so that it doesn't spill, and I'm going to pour. I've got 15 seconds. You don't need to panic, and I want to get all the chemistry out of this. I don't want it going down the sink. There's my timer. You can see it took 15 seconds. I'm giving it a couple extra seconds to shake. Okay, it's not going to hurt the film. Don't worry. And then what we're going to do is turn the water on and start our first rinse. We don't want this too hot. We want this about room temperature, about 75 degrees, which is what the room is. So it's going to take a little bit of adjusting to find the right temperature. Initially, when it comes out, it's about room temperature anyway. But I'm just going to monitor this until I get the right temperature. I'm letting it run at pretty much full right now, which is not going to hurt it. And I'm just waiting for the temperature to adjust. Okay, I'm going to stop my alarm. And now what I'm going to do is seal the chemistry. This is quite an important step. Okay, and this can sit for a minute. That's about the right temperature. I'm going to bring this, actually I'm not going to bring that over here. I'm going to bring this over here. And now what I want to do, and this is an important step, I want to just wet the lid, okay? Just wet it so it's damp. And hopefully you can see this. I'm going to push down until the top, till the liquid, you can see how it's a compressible container. Maybe I'll do it up here. And what I'm going to do is press down until that liquid is right at the very, very top. So there's no air whatsoever in there. You can see the bubbles are kind of coming out. And I'm threading that and putting a bit of pressure on it. And that will actually seal nicely. This lid will seal it. And now we have an airtight seal with no air space in there at all. Okay, I'm just going to give this a quick rinse. This is part of doing the dishes. We got to make sure we do the dishes afterwards. And now we're gonna let this rinse for about the same amount of time. We don't need to let the water run continuously. Once you've got the temperature, I'm gonna slow it right down. I like to dump it maybe 5 times, let the water run slowly. I've already run it for a few minutes, so I'll set my timer to, I don't know, let's say 3 minutes. That should be enough time. I don't need to watch it now. It's just about every minute I'm gonna reach over, check the temperature, and just dump it out and then refill it. Yeah, I'm trying to get this to about room temperature. It shouldn't feel warm, or it also shouldn't feel cold. It should just feel fine. And we don't need to waste water. Once I've got the temperature set, I'm going to turn that off, let it sit for about a minute, dump it out. Feel free to swirl it around if you want to. We've got a minute and a half left, so what I'm going to do is I'll do one more dump and fill in about 20 seconds. Okay, it's just 1 minute left, so I'm going to dump out the water. Add some water in. Again, checking the temperature to make sure that it just feels like room temperature. I'm going to give this one more rinse. We're finished with the funnel. And I'm just going to put that over here with the dishes to dry out. I should mention that this stuff is moderately expensive, so we definitely don't want to spill it. That's why you want to be quite careful when you're refilling it, and also quite careful when you're locking it off. We don't want to waste it when we compress the container. We just want to bring that level up to the top and then seal it. Okay, there's our alarm. So we are pretty much done. Now what I'm going to do, just before I do the dishes, I'm going to take this out. Okay, and just, whoops, counterclockwise. I'm going to give it a rinse right now, so we get the dishes done as quickly as possible. Put that over here in the drying rack. We're going to fill it up one more time, but now I'm going to take the negatives out. And I'm going to add 1 drop of soap. Okay, so this is fine. It's, I think they call it archived, where we've developed it with DF96, which has a fixture as well. And we've also run it through water for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to put 1 drop of water. That's it. 1 drop, no more. And then we're going to fill that up, again, with just that room temperature water. And what the soap does, is not to clean it, it's just to help prevent water droplets from leaving residue behind when they dry. So now what I do is, remember how we open these? I take the top part, okay, put my thumbs where those little notches are, and I turn it away like that, and it takes a fair bit of force. Okay, you might feel like you're breaking it. Lift it off, and remember, this could get stuck in one of the ball bearings. You just move it in a opposite direction, it'll just should release. I just drop it right inside the soap. I'm going to now rinse off this part of the spool. So that's done. And put it on the drying rack. I'm just going to do one at a time. Might be a little too much soap in there. I can just add some more water. It's okay. And then what I'm going to do is give it a wipe. And you can see that these negatives, there's some images for sure on there. They came out okay. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just run my fingers right along them like that. I'm just pinching them together, and I'm trying to get as much water off as possible. Then I'm going to just give them a little bit of a shake. And then we're going to travel over here and hang them up to dry. Not a lot of room on here. I'm going to move a couple down. I just fold it over the top. You can see there's a fair amount of lost negatives here where the spool was exposed to light. Get that so it's lined up, so it holds it in place so it'll dry. And we also need to put a clamp on the bottom. We've got one over here. Should be lots of these in the darkroom. And the reason that we clamp the bottom is just to make sure that when they dry, they don't curl. Okay, so we just put the clamp on here like this, and then we just leave it to hang. Oh, and don't forget to finish doing the dishes. Clean everything up. It should all be sitting on this on the tray here. And if we come back in 2 or 3 hours, those negatives should be good to go. All right, that's it. Next step is scanning. Over and out.